Good morning, everybody. It is your girl. It is your diva, acknowledged Lady Mocha. Welcome you to Mocha's Cafe de Paris. Big ups to all of my subscribers who have been rocking with me from day one. No, I see all of my subscribers, not as just my subscribers, but I see y'all as family. I appreciate y'all loyalty, y'all support, for just still rocking with me from the beginning since I started this journey. Again, I thank you. For all of you who have just subscribed, I welcome you to the family. If this is your first time here, definitely welcome you to Mocha's Cafe de Paris. Um, Thought it was very imperative that I did this particular content this morning. Good morning, Keenan, known as OG Frito, Mark Steen, Nadia Gray, and everybody else who's logged on. You probably can't speak. You probably can't chat in the chat room because you're probably on your job. Your boss probably right there, so you know you can't be on those cell phones and things of that nature. So understand if you can't chat, but you can only hang out for a short period of time, so it's all good and well. Like I said, I am unemployed, so I got all day. But I understand for those of you who have to work, you know, if you can't um chat in the chat room and things of that nature, so it's cool. But on that note, I thought it was very imperative that I did this particular content, because the truth of the matter is there are so many black women who are lacking um stability due to the fact that they never had a real father in their life. I totally believe the lack of not having a father is a major hindrance to a lot of the black women in the black community. Some black women do not have good positive relationships with their black fathers, and it was for various reasons. Maybe as a young black woman you didn't have a good relationship with your father because he was never there. He walked out on your mom's. You know, maybe he tried to man up and be a good man, but your mom was starting at the time, or whatever the case was, and he walked out, and unfortunately, you know, you got hurt in the midst of it. Or basically your mom, depending on how she lived her lifestyle, she don't know who your father is. So you might don't have a connection with your father at all. If your mother was one of those women that was loose goose and promiscuous and things of that nature, you may not appreciate it. Janubar, appreciate your compliment. Thank you. You may not even know who your dad is. It's a lot of black women, they don't know who their father is because their mom has been with every Tom, Dick, and Daryl. So some of us as black women, we were cheated from the start. You don't know who your dad is. Or it could be the third case scenario. You had a father, but your father was very abusive. He wasn't the ideal father. He was abusive to you. Maybe he was abusive to you verbally, called you all type of degrading names, and never made you feel special, never made you feel important. Let's face it, some of us came up rough, some of us came up hard. Some black women, just because they don't look like they've been through the struggle, just because they don't look like they've been through the storm, it doesn't mean they haven't. You probably have one of those fathers that was verbally abusive, that called you out your name, degraded you. If he wasn't verbally abusive, maybe he was sexually abusive. You'll be surprised how many full-grown black women are still broken little girls because it's still haunting them of that man who gave birth to them, who brought them in this world, was the same man who was sneaking in their bedroom at night, fondling with them, molesting them, touching them. And if she's one of those women, she's never gotten help for it, she could definitely be emotionally damaged permanently. It's a lot of black women, a lot of us as black women, we are broken in our own way because we do not have good relationships with our fathers. We've never had a good relationship with our father, or we don't know who our fathers are, or the fathers we did have was very abusive. And if you're a woman who's experienced any of those things, my heart goes out to you, because honestly, your father is your first love. Your dad is your first love. And I tell a lot of women this, and I've spoken this to a lot of guys. I've told guys the same thing. For all you women out there, you have to keep in mind your father is your first husband. And I don't mean that in an incestuous way. For those who don't understand, your father is your first husband, meaning that, being that he's going to set the tone of what you see as a husband. For instance, what's up, Dion? I was fortunate to where, that's why I put this photo up here. I was one of those women. I was very, very blessed, which is the reason probably why I am the woman I am today, and I'm so balanced. I don't know how to hate black men. I can't hate black men due to the fact that I've had two black fathers that have had such a positive influence in my life. Even if things didn't work out with me and my husband down the line, or I've been through relationships before I got married where I've had men who have used me and taken advantage of me, but it still has never gotten to the point to where I hated black men. And the reason why I don't hate black men like a lot of some of these sisters out here do is because I was blessed to have two black men in my lives. I was able to have two fathers who showed me the idea, even with their flaws, even with their mistakes and their mishaps, that there are good black men out there, because I was raised by both of them. Now I know it's kind of confusing to a lot of people out there, like, well, how do you have two fathers? Just to give you the little breakdown of that without taking the whole content, explaining my whole life story. I have two fathers, due to the fact that my biological, which is the gentleman that's on the left side of me in this photo with his suit on, anybody can tell, obviously that's my biological father. We like twins. And it's gotten worse the older I got. We definitely look alike, you know what I mean? So I definitely have his DNA. He couldn't deny me if if he wanted to. But that is my biological to my left. When him and my mom was married back in the day, for whatever reasons, they had their issues. And when you marry young, things don't always work out. And during the time of their separation, I think I was like 2 years. I was like, I no, I wasn't even born. I wasn't even born. And they already had separated. There was issues and things that occurred between the both of them. So my biological, he basically, he was Papa was a rolling stone. My father was a very attractive man. He was a ladies' man, and I guess at the time, being that he was still immature and not, really knowing what he wanted or whatever the case was, he went from relationship to relationship with other women, and basically my mom had to make a decision as far as learning accepting the fact that she was just gonna have to move on without him. And so she did. However, my father always he still kind of kept up with me, not as much as he should have, but he kept up with me whenever he could. But in that process in time, that was when my mother met my stepdad, which is the guy to the right, with the Coast Guard uniform on. This is hella old. I graduated high school in 1999. My stepfather, he is a retired Coast Guard chief. So basically he came into my life when I was 2 years old, and he picked up where my biological father left off. So basically, what's up, rep? What's up, poetic? What's up to everybody coming in? Um, in that time, I was fortunate to where even when my stepfather came into my life to raise me at the age of 2 years old, my stepfather, he, in a sense, he almost didn't even want my real father there. He just wanted to take over, like, nah, I got this, I'm gonna take care of her. My stepdad always saw me as his daughter. We never looked at bloodlines, and still to this day we don't look at each other bloodlines. So my stepfather, he had some animosity towards my biological father. He just kind of, looked at him like, less than at the time. Now they don't feel that way today, but at the time my stepfather kind of looked at my biological father, as a I don't want to say, yeah, like a loser in a sense. My stepfather, he just, he picked up where my biological father left off. But with all that being said and done, over the years, both of my dads, they came to an understanding, and they both really wanted the best for me. And it was not about them, it was not about the past. My stepfather actually took it upon himself, and he surprised me, and he reached out to my biological father. I didn't even know my biological father was going to be there for my graduation. I had no clue. I just remember when I had got my cap and gown and I was walking across the stage to get my diploma, I saw my biological father um in the bleachers, and I was shocked because I had no clue he was going to be there. So anyway, my biological father, he loves my stepdad. He gives him the utmost respect. There's never been no shade between the both of them, and that's where men and women differ. Men, even when men feel some type of way about something, men don't allow it to get to the point to where they're bashing each other, they're dragging each other through the mud. Men can be cordial. Women, we just don't have that gift. We always trying to underhand and undercut each other. So like I stated, because of that, to this day I have both of my dads in my life. I'm very grateful. I have my biological father and I have my stepfather, and I have a good relationship with the both of them. However, I am much closer to my stepdad because that is the man who raised me since I was 2 years old. And to this day, we still have a very close bond. And my biological father, he's not threatened by that at all. Both of them have a love for each other on the strength of me. So I'm very blessed to have had two black men in my lives that really love me and really support me, and I can go to either one of them about anything. And not only that, my daughter benefited because she has two awesome grandfathers. So like I stated, this is the reason why this has a lot to do with my personality. This is the reason why I'm not a black man basher. I don't know how to hate black men because I've come up in a family structure to where I've had the epitome of good black men in my life. And the problem with a lot of black women, the reason why the majority of us are so bitter and so shaded is because a lot of us have not had that blessing. Like I mentioned earlier, for everybody who's coming in here, it's a lot of black women that are mentally unstable because they did not have a father in their life. What's up, Gab? Good to see you. Appreciate you for stopping by. Thank you. That's the problem with a lot of us as black women. Some of us have not had that blessing of having black fathers in our lives. And like as I stated before, your father is your first husband. Your father is your first husband, ladies. And I don't mean that in an incestuous way, meaning that if you grew up in a household and a man was there and he was the ideal, not a perfect man, because nobody's perfect, but if he was the ideal father, you already had an example displayed in front of you as far as to what to expect from a black man. I knew what to expect from a man because I've had a black father in my life. I've had a black father who came home faithfully every day from work, who provided, who took care of his family, who spent time with his family. So when it was time for me to go out there and venture off and look for a husband, I knew what to look for because I already had an example of what a black man is supposed to be because my father had already set the tone. And the problem with a lot of us as black women, this is the reason why y'all are struggling with being able to get healthy relationships, healthy marriages, because you did not have a man in your life from when you were a youth to show you, to be an example for you as to what or what not to look for. I knew when I got out there, when I was slowly becoming into womanhood, I knew what to look for because I had a father in my life who worked, who provided. I saw how my father nurtured his wife, how he was attentive to his wife. So that already built the foundation for me as to what to look for in a man. And this is why I think it's very important that a lot of us as black mothers out there, I don't care what kind of relationship you have with the father of that child. I don't care if you don't like him. I don't care if you don't get along with him. It is not fair for your daughter to not have a good relationship with her father. When you take away the father from your daughter, you are doing your daughter a disservice. These young black women need their fathers. That's why a lot of us out here are lost in the sauce. A lot of us are lost in the sauce, and a lot of us as black women, we have learned how to make all kind of excuses as to why we don't have a connection with the father of our children. He don't pay enough child support. Well, he ain't this, he a dog, he this, he that, he cheated on me, he so and so. Him being a good boyfriend is not you can't match that up with him being a good father. Because I know some dudes, they sorry as far as boyfriends, you can't make them your man, but they're good fathers, meaning that it does not matter what happened between you and him. If he cheated on you, slept with your best friend, whatever went down between the both of y'all, you cannot use that to jeopardize what kind of relationship he needs to have with his daughter. Because these young black women, they need to have a relationship with their black fathers. Because what's going to happen is when they get out there in the real world, the first man that gives them attention, even if it's false attention, even if it's not real attention, she's going to gravitate towards that because she's not used to having that masculine counterpart. And that is the problem with a lot of us as black women in the black community. A lot of us do not have relationships with our fathers. And when we get out there and we get into the we get into the dating world, we thirst for masculinity. We thirst for that manly type of companion. especially those of us who did not have fathers. So the first man that comes along and give you attention is going to mean something to you. And that's the reason why I'm doing this content, is because as Black women, it's important that you allow your Black daughters to have a relationship with their fathers. Because the truth is, as women, we cannot teach our daughters everything about what they are up against out here. Now, me on the other hand, I was fortunate, like I said, where I had both my dads there. And my father, he met my boyfriends. You know, like I said, my stepfather was the one that did the majority of the raising. So when I met guys or I had boyfriends, he wanted to meet them and size them up. My father wanted to meet these dudes, and I, out of respect for him, and because he wasn't one of those strict fathers, he allowed me to have my freedom. He allowed me to date. He gave me rules, and I had guidelines. I couldn't have men in my house all time of night and in and out, but my father allowed me to have that room. So when he would meet these gentlemen that I were dating, he would let me know up front. You know, after he met them, shook hands with them, and said, "Nice to meet you." Blah, blah. My father would tell me, he said, "I could tell you right now, that dude full of crap. He just trying to get in your pants." Huh? How's that? He's no good. I can already tell just by the way he talks and stuff, he's not good for you. And my father was absolutely right. Every guy he ever met that I introduced him to, when my father told me, "This is not a good man for you. I don't think you need to see this dude," he ended up being right. I mean, mom and dad, is stupid. Absolutely, you can't be. And this is why it's, and what's up, Suspud. And this is why, as mothers, you cannot be the mother and you cannot be the father. Or if that's fine if you want to wear two hats, but you cheat your child, because it's going to be things that young women are going to go through. They need their fathers to put them on game. Because as a woman, you don't know all the tricks, you don't know all the schemes, you really don't know what these brothers out here are capable of doing. That is for that is why you need to give your child the privilege of having a relationship with their father, because it's going to be things that he's going to have to teach her that you don't know like you think you know, because you're only gonna, women, we only give advice to our daughters from a woman's perspective. And a lot of the times, what I notice with women, we only give our daughters advice based on personal things we have gone through. Like, for instance, you may have a woman who will sit up here and tell her Black daughter that all Black men are no good, all Black men are dogs, and she will pass that negative image down to her daughter because she's giving advice based on her own personal negative experiences. But the bad part about it is she's not going to be honest and tell her daughter exactly what she did, you know, to get herself in a situation. That part she's not going to do. She's just going to make it seem like all Black men are no good. Yeah, sorry about that. I had a call. As I was stating, this is the reason why a lot of our Black daughters are lost in the sauce, because again, it's too many of us as Black women. We are holding our daughters hostage from their fathers because we are in our feelings. We're in our feelings about things that got nothing to do with our daughters being able to have a relationship with their fathers. Like, as I stated, when we don't have healthy relationships with our fathers, we are the most vulnerable. We become vulnerable to simps, we become vulnerable to dusties, and we become vulnerable to beta males. When you have not had a father and had a positive relationship with our father, and he did not instill any wisdom, any knowledge into you, you're going to go out there dumbfounded. You're going to go out there being tricked and schemed by any man who's in your face holding a conversation with you. And that's the problem with a lot of the black women within the black community. A lot of them have not had fathers. Now, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll just clarify that because some people coming in and out of the chat. Some black women have not even had good relationships with their black fathers. It's most of the women I know that are in unhealthy marriages and unhealthy relationships. It's either one or two things: either she has never had a father, meaning that there was no man there in the picture at all to teach her anything. So most of the things that she has learned has been through her mother. Now, this is the bad part. A lot of black women who have not had fathers in their life, and their mother was their only parent. Now keep in mind, say if the only parent that they had, the only mother that they had was dysfunctional, do you not realize that's going to screw her whole mentality, her way of thinking, her way of reasoning in life? If you had a mother that did not instill in you any morals, any values, it's basically going to program you mentally in a dysfunctional manner. And the reason why a lot of us as black women are lost in the sauce, the reason why a lot of us are struggling trying to get it together, all of this um uh, mental instability, all of these issues we're going through, a lot of it has to do with the woman who raised you. The woman who raised you has a lot to do with your mindset. If the woman who raised you was a thought, if the woman who raised you was promiscuous, she was smoke, drank, done been with all kind of men. Every other day you had a new, every other week you had a new uncle to your house. Your mama was always to the clubs. You know, your mama was basically the whole of the neighborhood. You know, all of this will if can affect you because this is the woman who's raising you. And if there was not a father that was there to show you that that was not the correct way of being raised, you're going to adopt all of those same character traits. And this is where those generational curses come in. This is what we're up against. This is those generational curses that keep recycling over and over and over again. If you look at some of these young black women that are thoughts, that are that are hood rats, and you know, have all this harsh behavior, if you look into their family tree, you will see that this particular thought behavior did not just start from them. This was generations ago. If her mother was a thought, 9 times out of 10, the grandmother was a thought. If the grandmother was a thought, the great grandmother is a thought. And the great great grandmother. See, a lot of this stuff didn't just come out of nowhere. It's been transcending from one generation to the next. And the problem with a lot of us as black women, we have been raised in families but from other black women who did not have any morals and who did not have any values. A lot of us have grown up in black families with a lot of dysfunction, which is the reason why some of us as black women are very dysfunctional. If your mother was a dysfunctional woman, if she had any type of mental illnesses, if she had any narcissistic behavior, bipolar, schizophrenic, that stuff transcends these traits, these illnesses, they pass from one generation to the next. And this is the curse that a lot of black women are still struggling with to this day, is trying to defeat that generational curse that has been transcended from one generation to the next generation and so forth. This is why it's important that black women have good relationships with their fathers, these young black women, because if they do not have a relationship with their fathers, they are going to go out there and look for other men, even if that man is not good for her, she's going to look for him to fulfill that void. Now, there's other instances too in which black women, there's some black women who have fathers, but let's say if the father was abusive. Do y'all realize there's 8 out of 10 black women who have experienced some type of abuse or in some form or another from her black father? Yeah, a lot of us don't want to believe it because see, black people, we have learned to sweep stuff up under the rug. We have learned to pretend like it never happened. It's a lot of full grown black women walking around here that's acting like they never been molested. They've never been sexually abused in their childhood. It doesn't matter how well dressed she is. It doesn't matter if she has a good job. It doesn't matter if she's married and have children. It's a lot of black women that are dysfunctional because they experienced all type of sexual abuse in their childhood, and a lot of them have not received any uh spiritual or um spiritual counseling or any professional therapy for counseling for these things they experience, this type of trauma they experience as young black women. It's a lot of black women that have been molested by their own fathers, that have been sexually abused by their own fathers. But we have learned, because black people, we were taught at a young age that what goes on in the house, it stays in the house. We have learned to keep secrets, and all of this keeping secrets and sweeping stuff up under the rug is the reason why a lot of us are so goddamn dysfunctional. We try to bury stuff and act like it never happened. We don't discuss it. We don't talk about it. We knew daddy had a problem for years, drinking, doing drugs, whatever he was doing. And we all have learned to not even address it. We don't even talk about it. We knew daddy had a problem with keeping his hands to himself. He going to his daughter's room 2, 3 in the morning, you know, fondling his own daughter, touching his daughter, you know, forcing his daughter to partake in sexual activity at a young age. We have so many black women that have experienced this as young black girls. And to this day, they have never gotten any help or counseling for it. And it still affects them. And if you was one of those women and you've experienced this could really damage you. It's very damaging when your own father has molested you or sexually abused you. These type of women, they are magnets to other abusive men. I've seen so many women who have grown up in households with fathers that were abusive verbally and sexually to yet turn around and marry or get with men who treat them the same exact way. It happens all the time because when you have experienced at a young age your own father molesting you, your own father beating on you, the first man that gives you attention, the first man that seems like he cares, that seems like he loves you, you're going to gravitate towards it without a second thought. You're not going to evaluate him, you're not going to research him. And let's face it, a lot of these abusive men, they are wolves in sheep's clothing. They know how to target very weak and vulnerable women. And the sad part is women who have already been abused, those are the main ones they will target. How you think these pimps and these type of other dudes have such an advantage and taking the mind of a woman who's been abused? Because she's been abused and experienced so much trauma. She's looking for love anywhere she can find it, even if it's not real love. What's up, freelance? What's up, Angela? It's a lot of that going on in the black community. See, we don't want to talk about stuff like that. We got all day to get on these YouTube streets to talk about foolishness. Who nobody wants to talk about molestation in the black community, and that shit happens every day. It's a lot of black pedophiles within the black community. Y'all are not understanding. It's so many young black women that cannot go home peacefully without their father molesting them at night or without their mother's boyfriends touching them and funneling on them. It's some young black women that are living like this every day. That's walking around you looking normal, and you don't have the slightest clue that this same young lady is getting molested and is getting abused. She don't want to go home because she know her mama boyfriend because he ain't got no job. And because the mama so desperate and thirsty, the mama don't want to believe that her boyfriend is a pedophile. This young lady, she don't want to go home. She do not want to go home because she know Chester, the child molester, is going to be there. And I've seen when these young ladies who would go to their mothers and confront them and tell them, Mama, I don't like how your boyfriend Daryl be touching up on me, how he be walking past me, grabbing on my butt. He be sneaking in my room. These women will get an attitude when their own daughters come to them and tell them your boyfriend is making me feel uncomfortable. And I believe that, Angela, a lot of that happens within the black community. And it's sad because these older black women have reached a new level of desperation. They don't want to hear nothing bad about these dudes who they got staying with them in their crib. They don't want to hear none of their daughters complaining about mama, what Daryl, Mr. Daryl, why he keeps sneaking in my room at night. Oh girl, what is you talking about? Girl, please. You always complaining about something. I've seen some of these black women get an attitude. It's sad. I know one lady, her daughter, her husband impregnated her daughter. And when her daughter brought it up to her, she told her daughter, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not his child. And the child was clearly his. The child looked every split like him. And her and when her daughter confronted her and told her about it, she had got an attitude because it boils back down to low self-esteem. Some of these women, the majority of these women, their self-esteem is so low that they don't even want to believe these no good men who they are moving into their houses, which I don't even understand that. I don't understand why so many women, and it's a lot of them do it, they are so comfortable with moving another man in their house, knowing they got fully developed teenage daughters. And then as an older woman, if you dating a younger man, I don't understand this. How these older women don't think when they move these young men into their houses, and you got grown teenage daughters that are fully developed, got big breasts, big butts. You think these young dudes, you think your young boyfriend ain't going to be looking at your young tenderoni daughter? Let's be frank. You older. You may have a nice body, you still may look good for your age, but to see a young woman that's still perky and still got tight in the right places, his mind is going to zone in on your daughter. It's basic common sense. But a lot of y'all so damn thirsty, y'all willing to overlook all of that. Why would you even tempt a young man like that by moving him into your home and you got fully developed teenage daughters? And they do it all of the time. Angela says I had to leave at 17 because she thought I was trying to take her man when I would never do anything like that in my life. She was too competitive with me. Absolutely. It's sad, but there's a lot of older women that are still competing with their young daughters. They're competing for that youth that they will never get back. What has happened in these cases, a lot of these older women, they have not really live their life through their youth. Some of these older women had to grow up way ahead of their time because they became mothers at a young age, or they could have very well been in the same situation where their mother's boyfriends hit on them and they had to leave. A lot of this stuff that we go through, it's already been repeated. Somebody has already gone through it before us. So what happens is a lot of these older women, when they have done too much dirt in their youth, they, meaning they participated in a lot of thought behavior. They were very promiscuous at a young age, which caused them to be mothers at a young age. When these women finally get older and their children are grown now, close to moving out their house now they want to make up for lost time. They want to go back out there and try to, what's up, Seven? These older women, they want to go back out there and try to grab their youth by picking up these young men. It's a lot of these older women that's going after these young dudes. There's a young lady on YouTube now. Her channel is called Justine's World. You get a chance, check it out, and I tell you, it's very, very interesting. I mean, I don't understand women who get on YouTube and will vent their personal life, tell you everything that goes wrong in their life. They so open with the public about the way a man has dogged them, the stuff that men do to them. I mean, some of these women on YouTube is like an open diary. They tell everything about themselves, and she's one of those women. She's very, very, very open. I don't know if that's bold or if that's stupid. I can't tell you which one. But she was very open in stating that she was dating this young man. And I looked at a lot of her old videos when she was with this young man. She was so obsessed with him. She was so obsessed with him. She's like in her 40s, and her boyfriend, and she's not with him anymore. He was like 19, I think 20, something like that. And she was bragging about this young man like he was her son. You have some of these older women, they intentionally want these young men because that's their way of getting back their youth. What's up, James? Some women ladies aren't testing the man like they used to. Exactly. She wanted to relive her youth by picking up this young man, and he became a tornado to her life. She's done several videos breaking down and crying and saying how this young man mentally abused her. I think he physically abused her. I'm not sure. But I know she basically on all her videos was in tears, literally over this young boy. And I'm like, to you older women out there, if you are 40 and over and you getting a young man that's in his 30s and under, how serious you think these dudes are going to take you? You cannot make these young men husbands. I don't. Some of these older women, they get these young dudes, they dress them up, buying their Jordans, buying their jerseys. She did one video where you can tell she bought his outfit for him. She bought his Jordans, she bought his jersey, and she was like bragging on him like he was her son. Oh, check out the new jersey he wearing. Check out the new shoes he wearing. Check out the new. And now here it is, year or so down the line, you crying about this same young man, saying he's abusive, talking about, how he done destroyed your car, how he done tried to destroy your house. What did you thought? What did you what in the world what you thought was going to happen? As an older woman, you have to realize when you pick up these young men and you try to mold them and make them husband material, that's a recipe for disaster. First of all, these young, they're still boys. They're still boys. You don't think why? I don't understand how these older women are taking these young men so serious. Y'all want to break down and cry when these young men, y'all find out these young men using y'all, lying to y'all. What y'all thought? You taking these young men in, that's not your man. That's like taking in another son. That's what I exactly, freelance. She tried to make him a man. Anytime as an older woman, when you take in another young man and he's under his 30s and you try to make him your man, you don't have a man. What you have is an adopted son. You done adopted you another son because you got to buy his clothes, you got to feed him, especially if he's one of those young men that's a builder ball. Because you have some young men out here, they will work, they have jobs, they paying their way. But a lot of these older women, what I realize with them, they pick up these young dudes who don't have nothing, because they so badly once you older women by nature, they are nurturers. They done got used to taking care of their kids, they done got used to taking care of their grandchildren, and here it is, they think they can take this young man and mold him and nurture him and take care of him and make him a man. You can't make a boy a man. And of course, when she broke up with him, because she couldn't deal with the abuse, she couldn't deal, with his immaturity, because young men are a lot to deal with, no different than an older man who only goes after younger women. Now, I understand some men, younger women are their thing. You have some men, they do not want women that are over 30, and in some cases over 20, because they feel like women that are over their 20s and 30s are already molded, and they can't program, and they can't shape their minds. You have some men who will intentionally only target younger females. They don't want a female that's already older and mature and has her own mindset, because he can't mold her, he can't manipulate her, because she done already been out there. She know the game. She's experienced. He can't run game on her. And another thing is, with these young females, it don't take much to please a young female. All you got to do is take her and buy her some garlic crabs, and buy her a drink or two, and give her some change here and there. Give her the two H's, like my cousin used to say, hamburger and a hairdo. These young females, you get away with breaking them off with the two H's, a hamburger and a hairdo, and they'll accept it. They won't control it, end up being controlled. Exactly. That's what ends up happening, subspuds, all the time. These older women, they go after these young dudes, thinking they control them, and then it flips. These young men end up controlling them. You absolutely right. And that men who go after young women, that may seem cool and dandy if if that's your thing, because you want somebody you can mold them and control them. But the problem is, when you're dealing with a young woman that's really immature and childish, because you got to realize she's under 20 years old. You can't expect her to be but so mature. She could be a headache. She can be a headache, because these young women are emotionally underdeveloped. You will have to be willing to teach her everything. And you're going to have a whole lot of patience. If you're an older man and you want a younger woman, she may look good. She may look good as far as trophy wife image. She may still have that tight body, still have those perky breasts. I mean, she looks good. She looks pleasing to the eye. But when it comes to that brain, that's going to be the hard part. It's going to be hard to master that. Freelance says also, older women have trouble if a man wants children. Absolutely. And that's a big, big, big disadvantage for older women. Because you have to realize, he's a young man. Eventually he's gonna want children. He's gonna want kids. That's a big issue. And as a grown woman, you are supposed to know that. As an older woman, you're supposed to look way ahead. Like, wait a minute. This is a young man. The batteries in my biological clock been expired. He's a young man. Eventually, he's going to want children of his own. I don't need him out here cheating on me and creating side babies on me, because he wants a child and he knows I can't give him one. As an older woman, you should already be thinking about stuff like that before it even happens. But again, when desperation sets in, we don't think about none of that. Um, Older women should be with older men, or men that don't want children. And I've always agreed with that. But what I'm starting to notice, Angela, what's starting to happen is older women cannot get men their age. I'm starting to notice that pattern. I don't know if anybody else in the chat room is noticing that. Women in their 40s and over, who are still out there on a prowl, not the ones who are already in a relationship, not the ones who are already married. Older women who are on the prowl, who are on a prowl, they're still hunting. Dudes their age are not checking for them. Because men that are in their age bracket, these dudes are already one, married, and have been with their same wives for 30, 40 something plus years, or they are enjoying being a bachelor. I feel like, in my personal opinion, if a man is in his 50s and 60s, and if he ain't married, 9 times out of 10, he ain't trying to be married, especially if he has already been married. He probably been there, done that, uh, kids in college, his last wife, he ain't trying to go through all that again. If he's in his 50s and 60s and he's already not married, that's a wrap. So these women in their 50s and 40s, they're not going to find any men in their age range who want anything. It's not happening. And what's starting to happen is, like I said, good men are like parking spaces. All the good ones are taken and nothing's left but the handicap. So what's happening is these women got to get what the hell is left. They don't have they don't have the advantage of being choosy because you're older now. You're not that same young, sexy type bodied, pretty looking woman from your 20s. You're in your 40s and you're in your 50s now. Your things are different. You're not going to be able to pull dudes at 45 like you was able to pull at 25. This is why, as women, we have to be careful how we utilize our youth. You have to be careful how you use your youth. You can't be doing your youth. You can't be one of those females that's so promiscuous that you end up creating a lot of baggage for yourself by the time you hit your 30s, because again, ain't too many dudes are going to be checking for you. But at the same time, you can't go all your life taking so long to settle down. You wait till you darn near get in your 40s and 50s. Now you want to get married. It's going to be hard to get men your age to want to settle with you. So this is the reason why a lot of these older women, they're resorting to these young men because that's all that's left. They got to get what they can get. Because regardless, as a woman, you are going to want to feel desired. You're going to want to feel desired. And as you get older and you go into the club scene, you go into all these events, and you start to notice all the men in your age range, they're only talking to younger women at these social events, at these conferences. They're only talking to younger women at the clubs. So what starts to happen is it starts eating away up at your self-esteem slowly but surely. You start and once a woman, once her self-esteem has dwindled, she, desperation starts to sink in. And this is where they start picking up the builder bums, the man child. They start picking up anything because it's at this point it becomes about a piece of man is better than no man at all. That's what a lot of these older women are up against. When you don't hoard throughout your whole youth, or you didn't hoard throughout your whole youth. Let me say that. Some women have not hoard or thought it throughout their whole youth, but what happened is they played around for so long, they used their youth to use men, to get money out of men, to get men to buy them cars, because back in the day, they was the hottest thing walking the block. They done played for so long. Now they older. They want to come in from the rain and they ready to lock in. If you have thought your way through your whole youth, or you have hoarded your way through your whole youth, it will catch up with you when you least expect it. As you get older, you look back and time done passed you by. You 45, you 47. You not that young girl. You can't just pull any man like you used to pull them, because it's other young girls that are coming up behind you, and those are the ones that these guys are going behind. I'm 42 years old. I'm not trying to have kids. Been married before and don't have kids. Young dudes want mother figures. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And see, but at least you're woman enough to understand that these older women, for the life of me, I'm not understanding why they is not registering to them. These young dudes are looking for a mother figure. You don't have a man, sis. You done adopted a son. And again, this all of this boils back to the reason I do this content. When you, as a black woman, if you have not had a real father in your life to put you on to the game, to school you, to give you wisdom and knowledge, you are going to be bamboozled because your mother cannot teach you everything. A lot of the things I've learned was through my mom, but a lot of things I also learned was through my father. At black women, if you have a black daughter, you need to allow her to have a relationship with her father if he wants to be there. Now, if he's one of those dudes, he don't want to be there for whatever reason, you can't lead a horse to the water and make them drink it. You can't do anything about that. But for those of you who have men who want to be a part of your child's life, you're going to have to put your bitterness, your angerness aside for the sake of your daughter, because this is the time she really needs him, because it's a lot of game that's out there. And mom, I hate to tell you, even though you may feel like you the mama and you the daddy, you don't need him, you don't need a man. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with that daughter. Your daughter needs her father to teach her, because you're not, it's going to be things out there that you have not learned. You don't know all the game out there. It's very important that these children have both their mother and their father. They have to have both. These young women, even though you may feel like because you're a woman, y'all can relate better. That's all said and done. But you cannot teach your daughter everything. It's no different than if you got a son. If you're a black woman and you got a son, you can't teach him how to be a man. I'm sorry. You cannot teach him how to be a man. There's going to be things that he's going to have to learn from another man. And the problem is it's a lot of us as black women, we are allowing our own personal bitterness to get in the way of our children having an effective relationship with their fathers. And these children definitely they need their dads, because I'm gonna tell you, single mothers, something. Not all of y'all, because some of y'all are handling y'all business. There's some single mothers out here, y'all doing the damn thing, and it's not your fault that your child's father's a crackhead, he dead or in jail. So in some cases like that, you had to take over and wear both hats. But for you other women out here, you single moms, y'all are losing the war. Y'all are losing the war. Y'all have no control over y'all children. Y'all losing control over y'all children. Y'all sons are off the chain. Your daughters are off the chain. Your sons are handling you like they're your husband. I'm noticing a lot of these single moms out here, they sons are handling them because you have allowed your son to be your husband. You've allowed him to be the man of the house to where he feel like he could talk to you all kind of way. He could handle you all kind of way. He could disrespect you all kind of way because you up here talking about how sexy he is. It's some black women, not all, but some of these black single black mothers, they are infatuated with their own sons, which is sick to me. But you have some of us as black women, some black women are very infatuated with their own sons because they look at their young sons and their young sons remind them of what their fathers used to be when they were dealing with the fathers. They're still in love with what the father of their child used to be, and they still see some of those traits within their son. I've seen it. Whenever you hear a woman constantly say, "Oh, he looks just like his daddy. He looks just like his daddy." When she says that all the time, if you really listen to it, that's a slight case of infatuation. The reason she keeps saying and having to constantly state He looks just like his father because it's a part of her that's still in love with his dad, and she still sees a lot of those traits throughout within her son. It's a lot. I'm telling you, it's some sick stuff that's going on within the black community. And this is not to say that she's having sex with her son. Hell, and in some cases, some of them may be doing that. But what I'm saying is, some of these black women are infatuated with their sons because, again, their sons are a splitting image of the men they used to be with. What's up, great? Thank you for coming in. Yeah, you might as well say incest. That's pretty much what a ballpark is. What bugs me out is how they say they're unagented men in the house sometimes. Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? But what has happened, freelance, is a lot of these single parent households, what has happened is because there is not a man in the house and they're not married, they don't have a male companion, they're not in a relationship. What has happened is a lot of these single mothers have learned to substitute their sons for husbands. That's their way of making up for not having a real husband. They make their sons become the replacement of that. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with a woman teaching her son how to be responsible. If you got him taking out the trash, you got him mowing the lawn, I think that's a wonderful thing, especially if there's no man there. You have to teach him how to be a young man in that sense. But I noticed that these women who that are allowing their sons to lead the households, their sons are not doing nothing manly. They can't get this joker to take the trash out. They can't get this joker to wash the car. They can't get these young men to do nothing. And these are the same young men who they be bragging about. And then they'll say, oh, my son is sexy. My son is fine. My son is my man crush Monday. But your son, the moment you ask him to take out the trash, he talking back to you and getting an attitude. Something is wrong with that picture. So we'll be all in the drama. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because see, what it is that we have accepted this norm of we have learned to celebrate the of single parenting. We have learned to celebrate it, and a lot of these single mothers, they're not being honest. They're not being honest. They're not telling the truth. They're not stating how hard it is having to raise all of these children by themselves, especially these young black men. Because what happens is these young black men, when there's not a father, there's not a man in our household to give them that masculine balance, these young men will run all over you. They will run all over you. I've seen so many of these young black men that are being raised by their single black mothers. If she's one of those mothers that has never, she lacks morals, she lacks values, and she has not taught him how to stay in his place like a child, he will run all over her. He will be telling her what to do. And this is the reason why some of these single black women, they're going to stay single, because if they do meet a man and she decides to get serious with this man and she's letting him come over a lot, and it gets serious to the point now she wants to move in, she wants the man to move in so she can start a family with him, these young dudes, they're not having that. When you make your sons your husbands, ladies, and you decide now you want your own penis, you want your own man, you want somebody to be with, your young sons ain't having that. They gonna run these old dudes from out your life because you have allowed that young man to have too much control over your household. And now he don't know his place as a child because you done treated him so much like a man. When as black women, we have to be careful how what type of pedestal we put our young black sons on. I see it all the time on social media. Black, black. A lot of these black women, not all. If it doesn't apply, you don't have to reply. But some of these black women, they put their sons on the pedestal. They treat their sons like they kings. They will brag on these sons, and and say things like, my son is becoming a man, but he's not really a man though, mom. He ain't got no job. He didn't move out your house yet. When you start putting up those words into these young men' mind, he's a man. He's really going to think he's a man. And it's not going to be because he has responsibilities like a man. He's going to think he's a man because you single mothers, you keep boosting up these young men' egos, telling them how fine they are, how sexy they are. Oh, my baby is becoming a man. You babying him, but at the same time, you calling him a man. And this is how come these young men have this man-child mentality. And then they become grown men and they still act like little boys because somewhere they had a mother that kept catering to them and kept babying them. And some of these single mothers, y'all need to wean your sons off of your nipples. Wean them off the nipple. Stop breastfeeding your sons. Once they turn 18, 19 years old, there is no my baby. No, he's not a goddamn baby. He's a young man. And if he doesn't have a job and he doesn't have responsibilities, then guess what? He don't even deserve the word young man. He's a young boy. Stop giving these young men titles that they have not earned. He's not a young man if he doesn't have a job. If he's still staying with you moms and you're buying his Jordans, you buying his prom clothes, he ain't no young man yet. He's still your son. Just say, oh, well, that's my son, or, my little boy, because that's what he is. And you wonder why these young men get out of pocket. I've seen these young men who stand up on their mama like grown men, like they was gonna knock their mama down because their mama said something they didn't like, or their mama addressed them in the issue because you have babied him so long, and now you tired of this overgrown baby that you have produced. Now you want him to man up. You tired of him laying on your sofa every day, bending out, putting a dent in your couch, watching Netflix and Hulu all day. You want him to man up, especially when he starts breeding babies like roaches. He starts bringing all these grandchildren to you. He's not even in his 30s yet, and he's already got all this excessive amount of child support. Moms, that's because you created that monster. You babied him too long. You have not weaned him off the nipple. And it's a lot of black women within the black community. Y'all need to take y'all nipple out y'all son's mouth. There's no way an 18-year-old young man should be staying with his mother, not going to school and not having a job. Something is wrong with that picture. You still buying the groceries. You coming home from work, the trash ain't emptied. He ain't vacuumed, but yet he's sneaking all kind of females in and out your house, disrespecting you, screwing them on your sofa, screwing them in your bedroom. Black women, we are at a state of an emergency. Y'all don't have no more control over your households. Y'all sons are telling y'all what to do. Y'all daughters are telling y'all what to do. And meanwhile, you have the audacity to get mad with these black men and say they're not real fathers and say they're not good fathers. Just because you have your children, that don't make you a good mother. Because a lot of y'all got y'all kids and y'all ain't teaching them a goddamn thing. And I know the system has y'all thinking that y'all are good mothers because y'all are the ones that are given full custody. But just because the state is giving you full custody and a non-custodial parent doesn't have full custody, it doesn't mean that you're a good mother. It just means that the state recognizes you as being the primary parent. Because a lot of us as black women, we're not doing our jobs right when it comes to raising these children. We're not doing it right. And then when the burden gets too heavy or it gets too much, we want to blame the fathers when it gets too much. But no, you did not want him there. The only purpose you wanted that father to have was child support. You didn't want him to have a say so. You did not want that father to help you raise those children. You only wanted him to contribute his money once a month. And I hate to say it, but a lot of black women are suffering today because of child support. They're suffering because their mind was so focused on the dollar. They didn't care less about their child having a father. As Black women, we need to focus more on the father and less on the dollar. Cause y'all money is not helping y'all children. I don't care if he's giving you 500 a month, 10 grand a month. Your child is off the chain. Your child is disrespectful, talking back to you. Your son raising up on you like he gonna knock you down. Your daughter talking back to you like you just another broad in the street. You, a lot of single mothers, y'all got no control over your children because you have focused on the dollar and not the father. The father, exactly, Angela. The father is more important than the dollar. What good is the money when you have a son that's out there lost? He's on drugs. He's in and out of juvenile. He's in and out of prison. How is the child support helping you when you having a child that's lost? And I wish more Black women would stop focusing on the dollar and start focusing on your child's well-being. If you have a son or you have a daughter that is off the chain, out of control, and they have a father that's stable, they have a father that's well put together, and he's willing to be there and he wants to help you with that child, you're gonna have to put the Gucci bags, you're gonna have to put the lifestyle aside and let that child go be with their father, because that's going to be a benefit to you in the long run. A lot of y'all know y'all children off the chain, but you want that allotment once a month. That's all that's important to you. You know your son is disrespectful. You can't do nothing with him. He's handling you like a thug in the street. And here it is, you know the father is in a good position where he can intervene. And I don't mean, because you have some women that's like this. You have some women, they want the best of both worlds. You want the child support, but then on top of that, you only want the father to intervene when the grits hit the fan. It don't work that way. You can't only want these men to be there when these children are getting on your nerves, or you need a break for the weekend and you want to go to the club. Oh, well, you can come and get little JJ them this weekend because I got plans. A lot of y'all children are so ruined, they need to have their fathers full time because evidently you don't have a grip on them. And that is the problem with the Black community. A lot of us have Black women, they have become so consumed over the dollars. A lot of and some of these women, they know that they know their son is troubled. For instance, I knew this one particular young lady. She was having trouble with her son. Her son just reached a point to where, when you're, because this is the thing, as a single mother, because you're the one doing everything, you can't be there every step of the way because you got to work. So you the only one paying the bills. You constantly working, which means your children are always by themselves, which means that gives them so much room to get out there in the world and to do all kind of things that they don't need to be doing. And that's what happened. Her son got it. The streets got a hold of him. He started participating in all kind of criminal activities, going to juvenile. It was one thing after another. And his father saw how bad off his son was. He seen, he witnessed from a distance, that his son was really in trouble. So he came to her and he told her, he said, look, our son is in trouble. He's already been in juvenile a couple of times. I mean, schools has been calling her every day. He's acting up in school. He getting in fights. The boy was rebelling, basically. And the father said, I want to be there more for my son. I want to take care of my son. I see we're losing him. He's getting out there. Let me get my son before it gets any worse than what it is. So what happened was she thought about it and she said, I would like to give, I would like to let, whatever little boy name is to come stay with you. But the problem is, I know if I let him go stay with you, I'm going to have to drop the child support. And he was like, well, yeah, I mean, that's only fair because if I'm taking care of him, and he's in my household, that's not fair for me to still have to pay child support and the child's with me. Do you not realize she turned him down? And guess what our son is to this day? She did not want to give her son, their son, to his father. He wanted to be there. He was willing to step up, not realizing she's not looking at the long picture. She's so busy focusing on the child support. She ain't looking at the fact that had she gave the son to the father, that now he's somewhere in a better place. You can still work, make money. Now you can work and do all of what you need to do now, because your son is not there for you to have to keep your eyes on him. She didn't look at the bigger picture. Like, okay, if he get my son, now I can do me. I can take better care of me. I can position myself better. She just kept looking at the dollars. Well, only thing I can tell you is he's in prison serving life for killing another young man, and she still didn't end up with child support. See, when you try to be evil, and a lot of this has come back to haunt us as Black women, as Black mothers. When you try to be evil and you try to complicate these men's lives because you think you have so much control with child support, and you think you got the upper hand because these court systems let you get away with murder, it's more than one way for karma to come back. You got to be more careful with how you do things to people, because it will come back on you. She kept her son because she was all about a dollar, and she ended up losing him and the dollars, and she lost her son through the prison system for life. He's never getting out. I'm 33, and not having a mother or father is the hardest thing in the world. Breeding for child support is real. You have to accept it. Absolutely, Lizzie. And and it takes real women to say that. I mean, child support is not the answer to everything. I know a lot of y'all figure you got your dollars. You feel like you're in control. You got the money. You can do this. You can buy that. But you're not looking at the bigger picture. If your child ruins his or her life because your child is troubled, and your child needs their father, but you're too busy buying Coach bags and Gucci bags that you're willing to overlook that, realize that if your son or daughter gets in trouble, you're going to end up losing your money anyway. And most importantly, you're going to lose your child. What's more important? Are you more concerned with the daughter or the father? What's more important to you? You more important with your image, your lifestyle, than to say that I need you to get our son. I don't want our son in prison. I don't want our daughters, out here producing all kind of kids from all kind of men. If you know you have children that are troubled and they are off the chain, and you cannot do nothing else with them, and their father is still around, and he's in a better position, I suggest you put your pride aside and you allow that man to step up and get custody of that child. But a lot of y'all are not going to do that because you're worrying about your child support. But I guarantee you, your son or your daughter getting something so heavy, a dollar ain't going to be able to save you. They end up in that prison system, that child support not going to save them. Your daughter get loose on you, going out here screwing all kind of men, bringing all type of grandchildren, getting pregnant year after year after year. Child support is not going to help you, sis. You got to figure what's more important. A lot of women are just plain mean and don't want the child to possibly have a better relationship with the father than them. They fear being replaced. And that's the thing. And see, that's the thing, Angela, to all you women out here, because Angela brought up a good point. If you're so worried about if you give your child's father custody of the child, you so worried and fearing that you can be replaced, guess what? If you know you are a real mother, you're not going to have any fear of anybody taking your place. If you have any fear, it's because you ain't been doing your goddamn job. That's what it means. That's exactly what it means. What's up, Ruby? Didn't see you in here. What's up? Good to see you. The title's so real, and the fact the stepfather can never feel a hold. The absent father leaves in her soul. Absolutely, I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, that if you're a real mother, you're not going to feel threatened by nothing. When my brother got murdered, back in 1992. Uh, he was murdered at the age of 15 years old. He was killed by another young man, and it was not gang related, but he was shot by another young man that was his age, and it's a long story, whatever. But what happened was when my mom lost my brother, my oldest brother, due to violence, it put her in a bad space to where she was going through a moment of depression, which is normal. Anybody who has lost a child can definitely understand that. You just don't bounce back right away when you lose a child, especially in such a harsh manner, such as through violence. And what happened was, she was going through a moment of depression to where she lost focus on me and my siblings. And slowly but surely, we was not really getting out of control, but we were getting close to it. And at the time, my mom was just going having one obstacle after the next. After my brother got murdered, she got burnt out her apartment. It was just one obstacle after another, one obstacle after another. And what happened was we ended up moving from place to place because my mom was a woman with a lot of pride, and my mom was a real mother. She didn't believe in burdening anybody with us. She didn't believe in having us, stay with people and live with people, and things of that nature. Oh yeah, appreciate the $10 donation, Keenan. I'm a single father raising three children, and there's no amount of money that can replace my kid's mother. Absolutely. It's called teamwork, because you and your child's mother, y'all realize what's more important is making sure those kids have the best parenting than having the best Jordans and iPads. But two parents that could put their foolishness aside and make sure that their children are the best, are getting the best of everything. So I commend you, and I commend her as a black woman, because a lot of these black women, they don't do stuff like that. They too busy worrying about the child support. They don't want the father to have the child because they want the child support. So big ups to the black women, black mothers who are willing to put their differences aside and let their children have a connection with their father. So the other thing is, yeah, my mom, my mom had pride, as I was stating, and she didn't want to, burden us and burden nobody with us and having us stay with other people. So what happened was she moved twice and she had us with her. She didn't want to, leave me and my sibling on other people. So we ended up moving with her from place to place. And everybody knows, when you go from place to place, eventually, you know, you wear your welcome out. People be nice to you in the beginning, but after a while, you start clashing and bumping heads. Um, People start treating you unwelcome. You get that unwelcome vibe, like been there too long. And we stayed with like two of her girlfriends. They started off nice, but after a while, it got crowded. Sooner or later we getting into it with her friends' kids, and or she was getting into it with them, and it was just one thing after another. And my mom, the last straw for her was when we moved in with her second girlfriend. And me and the daughter got into it, and my mom and her friend got into it, and it just was a big mess. And at that point, my mom had practically ran out of places to go, and she did not want to keep dragging me and my siblings from foot to foot to foot. Because when my brother got murdered, she allowed my baby brother, she allowed him to go live with my father, my stepdad, because basically he was like, you already lost the son, and you see Trey is getting out of hand, you see you having problems with him, won't you give me my son, and I will still send you the same amount of child support. So my stepfather wanted so badly for my baby brother not to fall in, well, one of my brothers to not fall into that same incident, that he was willing to give my mom the same amount of child support. as if she still had my brother, because my mom still had me and my sister. But at that point, like I said, things got bad. So she said, you know what? I can't keep dragging y'all foot to foot. She called my father and she explained to my father, I'm going to need you to get Mocha and Jocelyn. I'm going to need you to get them, too much going on. I'm not where I need to be in life right now. And it's not fair for me, not fair to our kids to go through this. So, with no hesitation, my stepdad agreed to come get me and my sister. So, him and his wife drove all the way down from New York, and we had our bags and everything, and we told my mom bye and everything. And, she agreed to give my dad temporary custody. And she said the same day that my stepfather pulled off with us in his car, she said she just literally broke down in pieces. But she knew she had no choice. She did not want to give us to our dad, because it wasn't just so much the child support. We was all she had. But she put her pride and her selfishness aside and said, I'm in trouble. My kids are in trouble. Their dad is in a good position. My dad had a big old house to take us in. He had the money. And we moved with that. We moved up north with my dad. I mean, he took care of us for like 5-6 years. We didn't want for anything. We just, and again, it took my mother being woman enough to do that. But a lot of you mothers out here, y'all are not going to do that because you're too busy worrying about your child support. If you're not worrying about the child support, you too busy worrying about the other woman that's with your baby daddy. A lot of y'all are just being straight petty, and that's the reason why your children are missing out on being blessed. Now I'm gonna catch some of these comments. But the bitterness blocks the children blessings of being raised in a stable household. Sometimes you can't think about yourselves. Absolutely, great. I did a content on that. You made a valid point. I did a content on that about how a lot of these children are going to be blocked from their blessings because the baby mama is so bitter. These baby mamas, they could know the father of their child is doing 20 times better than them. They know the father is making good money. They know the father lives in a nice neighborhood. They know the father has a good wife that makes good money. And they know they live in a small 2-bedroom apartment. They struggling, but because of the child support, they would rather have their child cramped up in a 2-bedroom apartment with them, rather their child be in a struggle with them, because again, it's all about the mighty dollars. They want to hold on to the child support. They don't care nothing about what that child has to go through. They're not looking at the bigger picture. Ruby says children need both biological parents in their lives. The more stable and constant a force, the better. Fathers and mothers each bring a completely different dynamic that is crucial to the development. Absolutely. But the Black community has strayed away from that. Black women are not striving to have families anymore. We as Black women, we are striving to just have children. We're not trying to have families. We're just having kids. We don't care from who. We don't care if we married to them or not. We don't care if the man you getting pregnant from has 8, 9 other kids from all type of random women out here. We have lost the foundation for family and a Black community. People are just having children. People are not having families in the Black community anymore. Everybody is laying with everybody. Everybody's raw dogging everybody. There's no more families anymore. All of these children got the same mother but have different last names. you know, you could be a single mother and have 6 kids, and out of the 6 kids you have only 2 of them active fathers. So how you think the other 3 children are going to feel? See, this is the stuff as Black women that we don't think about in the future. You're going around having all of these children from all of these random men, but you're not taking into consideration when how your children are at such a disadvantage. We don't look far ahead. Exactly, Angela. We need to value family. We're not striving to be wives anymore. As Black women, We're content with just being baby mamas. Y'all don't want husbands anymore. And I'm going to tell you the reason why, as Black women, we don't want husbands anymore. We don't want husbands anymore because the governmental system has replaced husbands. Back in the day, your husband had to buy you a house. Now you can get Section 8 housing and governmental housing through the government. Back in the day, your husband had to buy groceries and provide and bring home the bacon. Now you can just get government assistance, SNAP and food benefits through the government. Everything that the husband is supposed to do, basically, the government has replaced that. The government has become the husband. That's why they're not striving to be husbands. I guarantee you, if today, if the government would shut down the housing, shut down the food stamps, shut down WIC and all these other governmental programs, these women will be more selective about who they screw and who they have children from. If women knew they had to have husbands, they would think twice before they go in a raw with any Tom, Dick, and Daryl. But the reason why a lot of these women are not being selective and they're not being careful about who they choose to breed children from, because they know no matter how much they mess up, the government is going to make a way for them. And that's what we're dealing with. Lizzie says misery is comfort. My sister's generation whole cycle is all about telling each other we are okay without the fathers. It's a new way to have children. Absolutely. I'm gonna let you know now. A lot of Black women are upset. A lot of Black women, they're going to be upset with this content. Black women do not want to be told their children need fathers. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to be told that they need to strive to be wives instead of baby mamas. You know why a lot of them don't want to hear it? Because a lot of them know it's too late. A lot of them know it's too late. And they're going to already be offended by this content because they know they can't change it. It's too late to want to be a wife now, 8 kids later. I mean, like, seriously. That's why a lot of these women in the YouTube streets, they're not going to tell other young Black women not to do what they did. Because telling the problem with a lot of these women in the YouTube streets, telling other young Black women how to live their life right, to them makes them feel like they have not lived their lives right. So me telling you how you should live your life is the same as me telling myself how I should have lived my life. A lot of these Black women in YouTube streets, they're not going to be honest. They're not going to keep it real. They're not going to tell these young Black women, do better than I did. I name one young Black. If anybody can name one Black female YouTuber that has told other young Black women, don't do what I did. Don't wait till you get on your third baby daddy to learn that you need to make better choices than Black men. A lot of them are not going to say that. You know what they're going to do? They're going to have all these excuses. Their content is going to be Black men are not good fathers, okay, or Black men are deadbeats. But they're not going to say that they were the ones who chose these deadbeats. You knew your baby daddy already had 5, 6 kids before y'all had your child together. You knew this man was already married before y'all had a child together. You knew this man did not want you as far as wanting to commit to you, but you lay with him in the raw anyway. A lot of these women, they see all the signs, but they will sit up there and overlook all of them because guess what? Desperation has set in. Desperation has set in. I just wish more Black women would be honest and say, I did not make good choices in men because I was promiscuous. I slept with every Tom, Dick, and Daryl. My self-esteem was low. So the first man that gave me attention, it meant the world to me. Or maybe or there was things that transpired in my childhood that has contributed to me being molded the way I'm molded. I didn't have a real good mother. I didn't have a relationship with my father. I wish more black women would be transparent and stop lying in these YouTube streets. And you just want to give all the content bashing black men, but you're not telling everybody what you are doing to make yourself a magnet to these better males and these dusty dudes. It's something about your spirit. The spirit that you carry will draw certain people to you. If you have a ratchet ass spirit, you're going to attract a ratchet dude. My thing is, I cannot attract something that I am not. Let me break this down to y'all. I cannot attract something that I am not. I cannot attract a crackhead because I don't do crack. I don't smoke crack. Okay? So a crackhead is not going to be attracted to me. He's going to know from the moment that he sees me to not even approach me. Because he can already see based on how I carry myself. If you keep getting dusty dudes and you getting better males to approach you, there's something in your character, there's something in the spirit that you are carrying that is making these type of dudes magnetic and drawn to you. Now, this is not to say I haven't had all, even the most attractive women have had better dudes that approach her. But if that's all that keeps approaching you, something is wrong. Lizzie says they be out here sleeping with another woman's husband when the income support is running out, destroying other women's blessings. Best believe, absolutely. What has happened is, black women today, not all black women. If it doesn't apply, you don't have to reply. But black women today have reached the new all-time low. They have reached the all-time low, and the all-time low we have come to has everything to do with desperation. Because what has happened is, based on the way we have lived our lives in our youth as women, it has come back. Things we have done in our youth, it has come back to haunt our womanhood. It has come back to affect our womanhood. If you was promiscuous or you done had all type of children at under 20 years old, and here it is now you 40 something years old, you can't get a good man, you can't get somebody to marry you, to commit to you, it's basically because a lot of the choices that you made in your youth has come to haunt you. And we have to realize in life, ladies and gentlemen, there's not going to always be a do-over. Sometimes there are just no do-overs. Once you make a bad choice, you have to live with that choice. It's not like the game Etch a Sketch. Remember when everybody had an Etch a Sketch? You could sketch something, and if the sketch didn't come out right, you just shake it, and the whole screen is clear, and you can redo it. We can't Etch a Sketch life. There is no do-overs. Some choices you make, you are stuck with. That's why, as women, we have to be very particular who we lay with, who we conceive children from, who we breed with, because once you have chosen that man as the father of your child, you can't reverse it. Once you have decided to have 5, 6, 7 kids, you realize it's too hard. You realize you're struggling. You realize you don't ever have enough money. You can't change that. Those 7 kids are not going anywhere. So we have to be very careful with the decisions that we make, because once you make a decision, you can't always redo it. You can't take it back. Classics. Yeah. Angela says, Lady Mocha, a lot of girls don't want to hurt their mothers by telling them that they were horrible. Oh, I could totally, you know what? I could totally, and I'm gonna do a content on that. I'm glad you brought that up. It's so many of us as black women, we don't have good black mothers. I'm fortunate that I was one, but I see what a lot of my girlfriends have gone through. I know black women who have had mothers who knew their boyfriends or husbands was molesting them, and their mothers would not protect them. My heart goes out to you black women who did not have real black mothers, who did not protect you, who allowed her boyfriend, her husband to tamper with your childhood, who have been on drugs, so they didn't teach you anything. It's so many black women out here who are at such a disadvantage because they didn't have real mothers. And there's so many of us. And it's not our fault that you didn't have a real woman who taught you and prepared you for how to carry yourself as a lady, how to make yourself marriage material. It is so sad, but it's so many black women that or did not have good black mothers. And for those who did have mothers in their lives, their mothers were not real moms. Like I said, their mothers didn't protect them. And it's very hard for us as black women to tell our black mothers, you were not a good mother to me. You were not a good mom. You were not a real mother. You know, a lot of us, we cannot tell our moms that. We can't. We can't. It's a harsh reality. Some women have done it, but it's very hard, especially to tell a woman who birthed you and gave life to you, because it's automatically we have this sense of feeling like we automatically supposed to respect the person that gave birth to us. But honestly, every mother is not a real mother, and every mother does not deserve respect. But it's by nature that even the most pathetic mother, as children, we don't always really vent and tell our mothers just how much of how much they have disappointed us as women. You know, we're just not going to go there. Uh, girl, when I hear that our young women, my heart, I work with a few young girls and women on the tip. Takes a lot of work to break that mentality. It really does. Classic. Ain't nobody telling their mom when she was terrible destructive because they don't can't or won't accept it. Yep. My sister 14 don't know how to change a pattern. My mother won't tell her. It's sad, y'all. It is sad. This is and I know a lot of black men, they cannot understand why some of us as black women are dysfunctional. A lot of it has to do with a lot of us have been raised by dysfunctional women. Y'all just don't know the half. It's a lot of black women that are suffering and are struggling, trying to keep them lives intact because they don't have a real mother. I have a real mom to this day. If I have a situation, I can call her. She can give me real wisdom, real knowledge, and real advice. I have a real mother. But what about these other black women out here? If they call a mom and say, "Mom, I'm having trouble with my daughter in school. I'm having trouble with my son," and their mothers can't really tell them what to do. Girl, well, I don't know what to tell you, honey. I mean, you just got to do the best you can. A lot of black women have been doomed from the womb. If you had a mother that was ignorant, uneducated, she didn't really want to be a mother when she was conceived with you, you already cheated from the start. And I definitely think that would definitely be good content. I'm gonna have to get with Ruby and Kels about black women who don't have good relationships with their mothers. If not that, black women, their mothers are still trying to compete with them. You have a lot of that going on in the black community. You have these older black women that are trying to compete with their young daughters. They're trying to dress like their young daughters. They're trying to catch a man like their young daughters. Hell, some of these older women have even slept with their young daughters' boyfriends. And some of these young women have slept with their older mothers' boyfriends or husbands. I mean, it's a shame. The stuff, it's a shame what black women, what we do to each other. We are each other's worst enemy. Black women are each other's worst enemy. It is not these black men, it's not these white women. Black women are each other's worst enemy. Some of us cannot even get along within the same family. You have sisters that don't even talk to their other sisters. You have mothers who do not have a relationship with their daughters. Daughters who do not want nothing to do with their mothers. Go for years at a time and don't even speak to each other. It's so much dysfunction of black women among black women. We have a lot of dysfunction with black women between black women. We're too busy trying to outdo and outshine each other. These older women don't want to respect the fact that they are older. You cannot do what your young daughters could do. You still out here trying to catch a Kashan You trying to catch a Keith. You an older woman. You don't need to be trying to catch no Craig or catch no Keyshawn. You need to catch you a Willie. You need to catch you a Earl. You need to catch you a damn Lincoln or something like that. You don't need to be out here checking for these young dudes. Leave that for these young women to deal with. It's a lot of these older women that's trying to go back in time and grab what they used to have. But again, I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. But it really boils down to there's not enough black women who have black fathers. A lot of these women, y'all have not had. A lot of us as black women, we have not had the best relationships with our fathers. Some of us don't even know our fathers. Some of us have had fathers that weren't really fathers. As I stated, you have black women who have grown up in households when their fathers was molesting them, raping them, verbally abusing them. Or if they wasn't abusing them, they saw their mothers get abused all of the time. And that's very traumatizing. Even if your father never put a hand on you, but if you see your father fighting your mother and cussing your mother out, that can really traumatize you and alter your thoughts of how you perceive black men. So we definitely have to be, as black women, we have to be careful that we don't allow um the fact that we didn't have not have the best of relationships with our fathers or no relationship with our fathers to basically program our way of thinking in a negative way. It's that reason that if all of you, if any of you out here who is content as black mothers, you have to put your differences aside. I don't care if you don't get along with the father. I don't care if he's not giving you big time child support. These kids need more than their father's money. They need their father's wisdom. They need their father's knowledge. They need their father's guidance, because as women, you're not going to be able to teach them everything. Even me and my husband being together, I couldn't teach my daughter everything. And even though I'm a woman and she's a young woman, and that's the thing with a lot of mothers out here, we think because we are women and our daughters are women, we feel like we can relate to them and we can do all the raising alone without the father. And that's not true, because it was time when my husband had to intervene. He was able to give information that I didn't even think about. He was able to address things to her that I didn't even consider. And it's a saying that two heads are better than one. When black men and black women will learn how to put their foolishness aside, put their bitterness aside, learn to come together as parents for the sake of these children, not focusing on child support, not focusing on that's your new wife, that's your new husband. Put all y'all personal issues aside, because these children are at a state of an emergency. These young children are going through a lot. And it's very important that black fathers and black mothers are on the same accord, because you don't know what your black children are going through. A lot of these black kids are being bullied. It's a lot of black kids that are killing themselves because they're being bullied. And it's so much things that we're missing as black men and black women, because we're too busy focusing on hating each other or being mad or angry with each other. We're losing track that our children are in trouble and they need the both of us. It's not about a dollar. It's not about what somebody did to you in the past, and you can't do nothing about the past. The past is said and done. What these children need is both their parents, and all the and those who are more concerned about the dollars than they were about being on the same accord with the parent. I guarantee you, the majority of them, I can tell you, they are paying for it now. Their child is either dead, their child is either in prison, or either that their daughter have a bunch of children from all type of men, all because their focus was not on the children. Their focus was on being mad and causing confusion for one another. Um, a child need to commit exactly. Children need the commitment of both parents, and that was my whole purpose of this content. I really wish women would allow their fathers, the father of their children, to have more of an active role in their life and stop focusing on the child support. And those of you fathers out here, if you have women who are allowing you to be the father of their child's life, and they're not giving you a hard time, they're not being drama queens, they're not rushing down the court every other day, consider as a blessing. Please be there for her. She did not have that child by herself. Be there for her, especially if she's at least trying to work with you and she's not being beastie. She's not being hood radish about it. She talks to you with class and with grace, and she just wants you to be there. Don't keep coming up with excuses. I'm busy. I work too much. Please help this woman if you know she's at least trying to work with you and not trying to make your life complicated. It of effort goes on both ends as black men and black women. But again, before I get ready to wrap it up, I hope somebody at least takes heed to this. As black women, please stop focusing so much on child support. Stop focusing more on the father instead of the dollar. Your children are getting older. It's going to be things they need that child support cannot always buy. So again, it's important that we allow these men to have an active part in our child's life. Before I get ready to wrap it up, also, I'm working on a couple of projects here. On Tuesdays, I'm going to be doing the non-ratchet movement with Ruby and Kales. We may even bring some other young women on, to try to expand the panel a little bit. I feel like there's more black women that need to be educated out here. It's not enough for black women are getting guidance because they don't have real mothers, they don't have real fathers. It's very important that we start the non-ratchet movement and basically be a positive influence on our children. I'm also working on a baby mama drama seminar. I'm gonna have to put down the mic for a little while because I've been was supposed to do that. I'm having women that's reaching out to me that's going through the baby mama drama with their husbands, or with their boyfriends. I'm having a lot of women that are emailing me. They need help dealing with the father of their child's baby mama. It's a lot of women that's going through baby mama drama. I'm going to do a seminar on that. However, my seminar is going to be private. I'm going to only be doing at least 5 to 6 women at a time. I'm going to be doing a private webinar, which means just like I'm talking to y'all right now, I'm going to be doing the same thing, except it's going to be private. That way, women who need my guidance, need my instruction on how to deal with the baby mama drama. I'm going to be doing that course. It's going to be $10 per lady. That just helps me to be able to expand my brand. I really want to do this seminar because I got so many women that's looking for my help, and I definitely want to be supportive and help them with that. Also, I'm doing the baby mama dramas webinar for my men who need help, need strategies, need tactics with dealing with these bitter baby mama drama. So I'm going to do 2 different courses, except one is going to be for the men, one going to be for the women. It's going to be knowledge you can't get anyplace else. Still working on my books, DNA, the black woman's the broken woman's disease, dick and attention. Also working on my second book, deceptions and lies between black thighs. I'm working on that as well. So I got a couple of projects coming up. Also looking into doing a spoken word with Poetic Kales and Cool Gent. So I got a couple of projects going on. But anyway, I definitely thank y'all for hanging out with me in this chat room. I appreciate the donations. I appreciate the positive energy. I've learned so much from y'all in this chat room. Y'all actually gave me a lot of wonderful advice and good wisdom that I plan on utilizing in my next content. So again, y'all, it's been real. And again, I thank y'all for y'all support. I thank y'all for y'all some positive energy. It is your girl, Lady Mocha. Remember, I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth and break you off with a slice of knowledge. Y'all be blessed. Take care.